Hello my friends, Virus here. It has now been 2 weeks since the Switch 2's reveal. By the time you see this video, it's gonna be more like 2.5 maybe. And since then I've had a lot of time to think about it. That and I got sick around the time of the reveal, so I had nothing but time. And it gave me a lot of ideas for videos, one of which I'll be sharing with you guys today. And that is the Switch 2's name as a concept. Nintendo's never used this naming convention before, from jumping from Switch to Switch 2. They've had similar attempts like DS to 3DS and Wii to Wii U, but they've never just plastered a 2 next to a logo. So that brings us to today's question. What if Nintendo just keeps making Switches? Well, my friends, sit back and relax and let's dive into what that could be like. Let's first start with the Switch. It's a hybrid console, hybrid meaning it can be both a home console and a handheld console all in one. And to me, that idea is just too perfect to just scrap and just go back to designated home console and handheld consoles. Because I think I mentioned this in a previous video. I was when I was in school, I loved the fact that I could just play it a little bit before catching the bus, grab it, put it in my bag, play it on the bus. Wonderful, wonderful idea. And I was honestly kind of surprised that it didn't happen sooner, considering mobile technology and phones. And it was a good idea when basically all of their competitors like Sony and Microsoft followed suit with this idea of being able to play basically anywhere, that being with the PlayStation Portal, which is kind of an attempt at making a Switch. I know that Sony did announce that they want to make a Switch-like system to rival the Switch. I don't know how well that's going to work because, Sony's done handhelds in the past and PlayStations just do better. But the Switch is a very incredible idea and just a very good idea just as a concept if you have people trying to replicate that success. That's another thing. The Switch is one of the most successful consoles that Nintendo has ever made. Dare I say, it will go down as Nintendo's best console in terms of exclusives, in terms of sales. Sure, it has its problems, but I feel like the good vastly outweighs the bad. I do have a video planned on talking more about that, so more on that later. But the Switch in concept is just too good to just throw away. Play it on your TV, you gotta go somewhere, pick it up, play it in the car. Perfect idea. And if anyone would do it, it would probably be Nintendo. They have a lot of experience in the home console and handheld fields, and it would make sense that they would just make a really good hybrid console. Now fast forward to the Switch 2 reveal. Leading up to the Switch 2 reveal, everyone was like, oh, it's gonna be called the Switch 2, it's gonna have better specs, it's gonna be just a better Switch. And to a degree, I did believe that it was just gonna be a better Switch, or just something that could play things a little bit better and just look a little bit nicer, like Wii to Wii U, and I guess kind of DS to 3DS. I've heard that opinion is very, very mixed. I think you'd be surprised by how many people actually prefer DS titles rather than 3DS titles, which to me was pretty eye-opening, that's for sure. But I always thought that the Switch 2, or whatever they would call it, would be basically the Wii U and 3DS of the Switch era, It would be able to play Switch games, it would be a lot beefier, it would be able to play games at a crisper resolution, it would look better, and it would just be a really good next step. The part I didn't believe was, I didn't think they would call it Switch 2. It just seemed like a very not Nintendo thing, I guess. Because they've always given their successors something different, 3DS, Wii U, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, there's just always something else other than just plastering a number on, and this is a first for Nintendo. So because of this naming scheme, it makes me wonder, is this Nintendo's future? Are they just going to continue to make Switches for the rest of time? There are two possible outcomes. So one is they will keep making Switches, and everyone's going to love it, and they're just going to keep making them better and better, and the technology is going to keep getting better and better. But what if the hybrid console concept and just gimmick gets boring, I don't think it would, because it's just the best of both worlds. You can play it on your TV, then just take it on the go. But in the event that it fails and just people get tired of the hybrid console and just want a better, more powerful system, I wonder if Nintendo's prepared for that. Because with the Switch 2, it does seem like they want to keep the hybrid console concept around for longer, for the foreseeable future, it seems. And to do that, I think they just keep making Switches. So maybe in 2030, we'll get the Switch 3 and then the Switch 4, so on and so forth. And each one will improve upon the last. And I think Nintendo is prepared for that future, especially with the Switch 2 and its naming convention. To me, just the Switch 2 name is just a very sly way to future-proof it in the event that they want to continue, because this could be just a one-off thing. They could do Switch 1, Switch 2, and then move on to a completely different hybrid console and call it something completely different. Or they just keep making Switches. So those are the possible outcomes. The gimmick could die out and they just go back to designated home consoles and handheld consoles. They decide to just keep making Switches, and each one just gets better and better, or this is just a one-time thing and they're going to move on to a new hybrid console or whatever they do after the Switch 2. It's a real brain rocker when you like sit down and think about it, because it's like there's so much potential with the Switch 2. Like, it could go so many different ways, and ultimately it's up to Nintendo where they go after the Switch 2. And if I end up being right, that they're just going to keep making Switches, that's great. Realistically, I think they could just keep making Switches just because it's such a, like I said, it's such a good concept, and it seems like everybody likes it. The original Switch passed 100 million units, and even with the Switch 2, they have like 20 million units ready for pre-orders. So it shows that they're ready for like a good launch year for the Switch 2. Let's hope that everybody likes the Switch 2. I don't see any like reality where like they couldn't like it, because basically it seems like every problem we had with the original Switch has been fixed. And with that being said, I wonder how much more people are going to like the Switch 2 than the original Switch. We already know that it's going to be probably more liked than the Switch 1, but there are some rumors that are scaring me about it not being as powerful as we think, but then like there are other rumors saying like it's more powerful than we think it could be. Like, it's very conflicting. I don't really like believing rumors unless it seems very, very concrete. So I take every rumor I just like see with a grain of salt, and the ones that I have covered on the channel, well, those have been either confirmed or they're pretty much like official leaks. Like the Genki thing, that was basically like them officially leaking the Switch 2, and that's why Nintendo approached them, because they were like, hey man, they haven't revealed it yet, and then they reveal it a week later. So all in all, I feel like they could just keep making Switches as long as they continue to sell, and as long as the technology continues to get better and they can just keep making better and better Switches. Like, we might even get something that rivals like even the PlayStation 5 and beyond, which would be insane. Could you imagine like a Nintendo game being played at like 4K and like 120 FPS? But unfortunately, only time will tell, and all we really have is time. But what do you think about the idea of Nintendo just continuing to make Switches? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm really glad that I'm back to making videos, because all last week I couldn't get a video out because I was still somewhat recovering, and every time I tried to record, it was either technical issues or biological issues. So it's very great to be back, and I'm hoping to get back to my schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Oh, and another thing, there's gonna be a lot more content on my other channels this year. Really bad time to make a resolution that I'm gonna start uploading more regularly on my other channels and then get sick. But thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss any virus content. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Virus out.